Meet Peter Griffin, the king of chaos and stupidity. He's a master of terrible parenting and ridiculous displays, and too many times bad things happen to him. From disgusting habits to despicable behavior, Peter's got it all. Stick around as we look at 10 of his worst moments, and trust me, it's gonna get hilarious. At work, Peter, who's surprisingly the most productive staff member, learns of a new way to escape his responsibilities.
Wait, so you mean to tell me if I ever want to get out of something, all I gotta do is take a smoke break?
Well, I suppose, but you don't smoke.
She probably shouldn't have let Peter in on that secret. Now, trust the fat man to abuse the privilege.
Wow, I can use smoking to get out of anything. Finally, I'm above the law. Like my 14th century ancestor, King of Denmark, Griffin.
Good thing we never met Peter's 14th century ancestor. Being the lazy man that he is, Peter begins to use the smoke break excuse a little too frequently, even back at home.
Okay, Stewie, time to change your diaper. Oh, smoke break.
Soon enough, he becomes addicted to smoking cigarettes. Even though, like most addicts, he is still in denial.
I'm not addicted. I just need a couple every hour or so I don't go completely insane.
Peter, that's exactly what addicted means.
Spot on, Lois. Peter's new habit starts to take a toll on his health, forcing Lois to take him to the hospital.
Oh, you gotta do something. He's killing himself.
With Dr. Hartman unable to help, they turn to the rehabilitation clinic. Meanwhile, Peter looks absolutely terrible. His skin is pale, and his face looks as if he is a few hours from turning into a zombie. At the clinic, a rare but bad opportunity falls on his lap.
And I think you'd be perfect for our new anti-smoking campaign.
Me? You'd want me on TV? Even though I'm hideous?
You sure do look hideous, Peter. But to feature in the commercial, Peter has to agree to continue smoking, a decision that would further damage his already failing health. Well, the dummy agrees to the deal so he can enjoy his few minutes of fame.
Hi, Peter Griffin, sickly smoker. This is your heart. This is your heart on cigarettes.
Sadly, Peter gets fired from the advertising gig. He is still addicted to smoking, his health is in the worst shape ever, and to make it even worse, he is now jobless.
Please, I'll do anything to keep my job. Name anything you want and I'll do it.
Touch your toes.
Please give me something else.
It all starts with Peter collecting mail for his neighbor, Cleveland, who needs privacy anyway.
He's collecting Cleveland's mail while he's out of town.
Peter's snooping through the mail when Lois points out that maybe, just maybe, he shouldn't be doing that. But Peter's all, what's the harm? What could possibly go wrong, right?
Peter, you're just supposed to pick up Cleveland's mail, not go through it.
So, while flipping through the magazine he forcefully collects from Stewie, Peter becomes fascinated with mustaches.
Hey, what you got there, Stewie? Ooh, mustache aficionado. Wow, look at these men. What class, what grace. And all because of a little upper lip hair.
He then decides he wants to grow one.
Lois, I am gonna grow a mustache. And I'll have it made like the Monopoly guy.
The next thing you know, he's rocking a majestic handlebar mustache. Even Meg's all, Dad, what's that thing on your face? Is that a mustache or a caterpillar on his upper lip?
Oh my God, Dad. What's on your face?
Meg, it goes by many names. Soup strainer, lip whiskers, and until recently, giant horse vagina. But I prefer the term mustache.
For Lois, she thinks it's sexy. As expected, though.
Oh, I think it's sexy.
Peter's mustache becomes an obsession. He starts speaking Italian at the local deli, much to the amusement of the patrons.
Peter, what are you doing?
Speaking Italian. Babidi-boopy, babidi-boopity-babidi-babidi.
Peter, you can't speak Italian just because you have a mustache.
Does a mustache automatically grant you Italian citizenship? He even joins the Quahog Mustache Society, where he meets other mustache enthusiasts.
Hi there. Is this the Quahog Mustache Society?
Yes, it is.
Brian's all, Peter, don't you think that mustache is consuming your personality? But Peter's too busy being mustache man.
Peter, don't you think you're kind of letting that mustache consume your personality?
Shut up, Brian. I am part of a very special community now. People with mustaches look out for each other.
While out with Brian notices a fire outbreak at McBurgertown.
Oh my God, Peter, look! McBurgertown is on fire!
His fellow mustache brothers, who are fire workers, sight him and go get him to help quench the fire. Of course, people with mustaches look out for each other.
It's out of control! We need someone to man the other hose! Hey, that guy has a mustache! Grab him! We need your help! Take this hose! He knows everything about what we do. Of course he does. Look at that giant horse vagina.
Peter goes on to help spray water to quench the fire. He hears someone in the fire crying for help and he summons courage to save him. He must think himself some kind of hero.
With great mustache comes great responsibility.
He jumps into the fire to save the burning person. In the process, he loses his mustache, but gains a hero's welcome.
My mustache!
The guy he rescued offers him a lifetime supply of McBurger Town burgers as a thank you.
I'd like to offer you a lifetime supply of McBurger Town burgers.
Being the glutton that he is, Peter goes on a burger binge, eating 30 burgers in one sitting. Oh my, 30 burgers?
Peter, you should really slow down. You've already had like 30 hamburgers.
Predictably, he ends up with a stroke.
Come to think of it, I can't really feel anything on the left half of my body.
Mrs. Griffin, your husband has had a stroke. The left half of his body is completely paralyzed.
Bad news for Peter. The episode Blind Ambition begins with Peter and his friends at a golf tournament. What could possibly go wrong with a bunch of drunk guys playing golf? I mean, it's not like they're going to accidentally hit someone or something. Meanwhile, Lois heads to the bathroom and Quagmire gets caught peeping. Yeah, of course, he is a pervert. Quagmire gets arrested and Peter and the guys go to bail him out.
Glenn Quagmire was charged with peeping in the ladies' room.
Peter tries to defend him, but things quickly take a turn for the worse.
Quagmire's a good guy. He's just a little mixed up.
On his way back, Peter gets into a fight with a chicken. I mean, who hasn't gotten into a fight with a chicken at some point? The fight spills into the street, causing chaos and destruction. They even fall off a moving truck, and the chicken gets sliced by a wheel. But hey, at least they're committed to the fight. Eventually, Peter gets tired of fighting and decides he wants to be remembered for something. You know, something other than being a drunk, chicken-chasing idiot.
From this day forth, people are gonna know the name Peter Griffin, even if I have to shout it from the rooftops. I am gonna do something that people will remember me for.
He tries to invent a flying machine, but it's a total disaster. He even gets Stewie to test it out. It's not like Stewie's going to get hurt or anything.
Which is why I've invented a new type of flying machine.
Peter's next project is bringing an end to environmental pollution. He even uses a gun to threaten children to pick up dirt. Ah, poor Peter.
I am gonna stop pollution with my new lovable character, Gary the No Trash Cougar.
When the project doesn't go as planned, Peter becomes disappointed.
I'm never gonna be remembered for anything.
So, Peter decides to eat a bunch of nickels to break the world record. At least he could be remembered as a world record holder.
Everybody, you're looking at a guy who's gonna set a new world record. I am gonna eat more nickels than anyone has ever eaten before.
He eats and eats and eats until he finally goes blind. Oops.
Now the only thing anybody's gonna remember me for after I die is being that blind guy.
He goes out for a stroll and unknowingly enters a burning building and saves someone.
Peter, grab my hand. Jeez, Horace, you been drinking?
Grab it and pull!
Come on, let's go.
Miraculously, Peter saves the day and people finally start to remember him for something other than being a total idiot. Who knew being a blind hero would be the key to Peter's success? The man he saves then donates his eye to him. Things kick off with Lois organizing a fancy cocktail party. What could possibly go wrong with a bunch of drunk people talking about books?
Well, since this is a nice cocktail party, let's talk about books.
Can you guess how this ends? Peter, being his usual oblivious self, announces that he's never read a book in his entire life.
I can top that. I ain't ever read a book in my entire life.
Is that something to brag about? Lois becomes furious, and rightfully so. People get angry and leave the cocktail party.
Our ignorance of books has ruined it. Enough is enough. I got a junior high book list here, and starting tomorrow, you are reading one of these books.
Peter, being Peter, decides to take the easy way out and listens to audiobooks instead. He gets so engrossed in the story that he starts driving recklessly as he acts out his madness.
Damn it, Peter, I'm sick of this. Take that Van Halen CD back today.
The next day, still consumed with rage, he goes out for a ride. While driving recklessly, he turns on his radio to the highest volume and eventually crashes into a tree, resulting in a fierce accident. Typical daft Peter. The accident is so bad that once again, Peter falls into a coma, leaving Lois devastated.
Your husband is in a coma.
While in a coma, Lois has a big decision to make, and she almost takes the easy way out.
Are you telling me I should pull the plug? I may have to pull the plug on my husband.
Fortunately for Peter, he wakes up just as Lois is about to pull the plug. Peter is one lucky fellow. In Peter Problems, Peter gets promoted to forklift operator at his workplace.
Griffin, I actually came to tell you that you're being promoted to forklift operator.
Peter's excited about the promotion, and who can blame him? It comes with a 5% raise, and he gets to play with a shiny new toy. Just what Peter needs. More ways to get into trouble.
Really? That's awesome!
Anyway, the job is yours, which means you'll be receiving a 5% raise.
Peter begins his job immediately. However, things quickly take a turn for the worse. Peter falls off the forklift on his first try. Guess that's what happens when you skip the instruction manual. He then proceeds to use the machine to play with his friends and lift animals. But Peter is not done being silly. He decides to drink and operate the forklift. What's the opposite of a good idea?
No, I can totally do it. I've only had like 4 beers this morning.
He chokes, loses control of the machine, and destroys a bunch of things. Shocker. Needless to say, Peter loses his job.
He's doing it! It's killing him, but he's doing it!
Griffin, you're fired!
See if I care.
But that's not all. We also find out about Peter's struggles with impotence. Awkward, right?
Oh, please don't make me go home and disappoint my wife yet again. Dr. Hartman says I'm impotent.
He confides in his friends who offer to help him. They try to help him manually, but this doesn't work.
Peter, I am gonna help you beat impotence. We can do this together. This isn't the first time I've rigged up a sex puppet.
Not only is he jobless, he can no longer perform in bed. Peter really had it tough in this episode. In the episode Big Fat, we resume with Peter having a nightmare about being shot because of his big mouth. Who can blame him? Lois wakes him up, and thankfully, he survives the nightmare.
Peter, wake up. You're having a nightmare.
Oh, Lois. Thank God, it was just a dream.
Peter then decides to take a trip to Montreal. Yeah, running away from your problems always solves everything.
Okay, bye, you guys. I'm leaving now.
Peter, tell me again why you're going to Montreal.
So, he boards a plane with Quagmire, and things quickly take a turn for the worse.
Oh my God, this plane is awesome.
Peter tells Joe that there's a man on the wing, and Joe keeps telling him he's crazy.
Oh my God, Joe, there's a man on the wing.
Peter, there's no man on the wing.
There's a man on the wing.
Until he looks out the window and sees Peter on the wing. Apparently, he'd fly the plane better from the sidelines.
It's me. I'm the man on the wing.
Peter causes the plane to crash, and they're left stranded in the wilderness.
What the hell's going on back there? We're losing altitude! You guys, we've been out here a couple days now, and I don't think anyone's coming to get us.
After a few days of surviving on berries and rainwater, Peter decides to go find help. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well. Peter would then become feral, and Lois has to come looking for him. The police are afraid that Peter didn't survive, but they eventually find him in the bush, acting like a wild animal.
I'm afraid he might not have survived, Mrs. Griffin. We've been searching these woods for weeks.
We've got to keep looking. He's got to be out there somewhere. Oh, thank God. We found you. Are you okay?
Looks like he's become some kind of feral beast. Well, he was living among wild animals for 2 months.
They take him home, but Peter refuses to change back.
This is going to be harder than we thought.
I guess no one needs human clothes when you can just wear leaves. The family decides to take him back to the forest, but just as they're about to drop him off, Peter recognizes Meg's voice and returns to his normal self. Miracles do happen, right?
You're free, Peter. Whatever adventures lie ahead of you, know that my heart will always be with you. We will never forget you. But you're better off here.
We're all gonna miss you, Dad! More than you know!
More surprises are yet to unfold with Peter Griffin, the architect of his own worst moments. In this particular episode, we get to see Peter's parenting skills, or lack thereof, put to the test, with disastrous results. As if we didn't already know how terrible a parent he is. It all begins with the Griffins watching traffic news, which is apparently the most thrilling form of entertainment in Quahog, when they learn of the upcoming rodeo.
But what you shouldn't miss is the Quahog Rodeo coming to the Civic Center this Friday.
Peter, being the rugged cowboy he thinks he is, decides to participate.
Who says I couldn't be a rodeo star?
Nothing says cowboy like a chubby, middle-aged man with a receding hairline and a penchant for getting hurt. Lois, being the voice of reason, or at least trying to be, tells Peter it's a stupid idea, and he knows nothing about horses.
That's stupid. You don't know anything about horses, and you're in terrible shape.
But Peter feels he's gonna ride that bull like a pro. Or not. I'm sure his complete lack of experience and skill will have no bearing on the outcome whatsoever. Fast forward to Peter dragging Meg down the stairs, tying her up, and using her as a human torch to, well, we're not really sure what his plan was. Meg, understandably, asks her dad what the heck he's doing. And Peter's all, oh, it'll only hurt for 3 weeks, sweetie.
Dad, what are you doing?
All right, Meg, this is only gonna hurt for about 3 weeks.
Just another day in the life of the Griffin family, where child abuse is just a funny little quirk. Chris is the next Griffin to get a fair share of the rodeo practice manhandling. He uses Chris as a horse. Oh, how fun could that have been? He feels so ready just after this. What a diligent way to practice.
All right, I am ready for the rodeo.
At the rodeo, Peter is welcomed and he makes a grand entrance with his bull.
Ladies and gentlemen, give an indifferent East Coast welcome to the newest bull rider, Peter the Kid.
Oh, a dignitary just arrived. Just to show his prowess and give his audience his victory story, the bull throws him down and attacks him. He tries to run from the bull. How bold and courageous.
Where are you going, fatty? We're gonna have a party.
The bull undresses him and he starts to shiver. Of course, after outperforming a fierce bull, the weather suddenly becomes very cold. Meanwhile, Meg visits her boyfriend Luke at the Quahog Adult Correctional Center.
Oh my God! Meg's dating a convict.
Brian finds out and, being the ultimate gossip, spills the beans to Lois and Peter. Who needs a social life when you've got a family that's this dysfunctional? It's like a never-ending soap opera.
Brian, you bastard! How could you do this to me?
Long story short, Luke escapes from prison. Meg harbors him and Peter calls the cops.
Luke! What are you doing here?
I escaped, Meg. I escaped because I just couldn't bear another second away from you.
Meg, are you crazy? You can't harbor a fugitive. That's a felony.
Come outside, there's an escaped convict running across the street.
Luke is arrested, again, but Meg says she must go alongside him.
Well, if you're taking him to jail, you have to take me too.
She probably thought this was a telenovela, but she actually does end up being locked up. When she returns home, she's, well, let's just say, she's been taking some anger management classes. Who needs therapy when you have Meg's fists? It's like a free stress relief program.
I'm home. You're all my bitches now.
Peter, being the loving father he is, gets punched in the face, not once, not twice, but multiple times for giving wrong answers to Meg's questions. What a loving way to resolve family conflict. Meg sure loves her dad. In Total Recall, Peter takes his ridiculousness to new heights. The episode kicks off with Lois trying to wake Peter up for work, but Peter's not feeling too good.
Peter, come on, it's time to wake up. You gotta get to work.
Lois, I ain't feeling good.
Lois notices that Peter's lost his voice, and it's been replaced with a deep, sexy voice. What woman wouldn't get turned on by a voice like that?
Peter, what happened to your voice? It's so deep.
I think I'm sick.
Well, you don't sound like yourself. In fact, you sound kinda hot.
Peter thinks he's sick, but Lois is loving the new voice. Who needs a healthy husband when you have a husband with a sexy voice?
God, Peter, this voice of yours is really something. Huh? I can't get enough of it.
After a fun moment with Lois, Peter then realizes that his voice is back to normal. Bad thing, because he'll no longer get Lois's attention the way he was starting to get used to it. Loving the attention, he desperately tries to come up with ways to get his sexy voice back, forcing him to do crazy things.
I gotta make myself sick again and get that voice back.
Peter, that might be the worst idea anyone has ever had.
Trying to figure out where Peter is, Chris asks Meg where their dad is, and Meg lets him know that he's gone to the dentist to try and get sick. Yes, that's exactly what you do when you want to get sick. You go to the dentist.
Meg, have you seen Dad? Yeah, he's at the dentist. He's trying to get sick.
Peter's desperate plan to get sick would involve dressing up and behaving as a woman at work.
I figured out a great way to get sick. I'm gonna be a woman at work who cannot get sick right now.
He eventually falls terribly ill, and Lois takes him to the hospital. Finally, someone is taking care of Peter.
That's it. I'm taking you home.
The doctor tells Lois that Peter may not be okay, but Peter's more concerned about missing his bowling tournament. Priorities, people.
Dr. Hartman, is Peter gonna be okay?
One more person asks me about a patient today, I'm gonna scream.
I got the bowling tournament this afternoon. Quagmire and Joe are counting on me.
Lois tells him to forget about bowling, but Peter asks her to stand in for him instead. There's nothing showing team player like asking your wife to take your place.
Forget about bowling, Peter. You're very sick. You're not going anywhere.
Well, then, you're gonna have to bowl for me. Please, you gotta do me this favor, Lois.
Lois wins the tournament, and she quickly becomes friends with Quagmire and Joe, I mean, who wouldn't want to be friends with a winner? Lois especially.
Thanks for filling in for Peter, Lois.
We got Richard Lois.
Peter gets jealous when he realizes that Lois is having more fun with his friends than he is. Poor Peter.
Oh, well, actually, we only have 3 tickets, and we're going with Lois.
Oh yeah, we've actually been having a great time with her, and she's quite a bowler, too.
I don't know who any of you are anymore.
He tries to talk to the bowling attendant, but ends up getting punched in the face. Serves him right.
Don't talk to me that way, you son of a bitch!
When Peter accuses Lois of stealing his friends because she gives them nicknames, Lois assures Peter that she likes hanging out with him more than anyone else. But let's be real, Peter. You're not exactly the most reliable friend. In the episode Mr. and Mrs. Stewie, we see Peter sleeping on top of Lois, who's struggling to breathe. Talk about a rude awakening. Peter wakes up oblivious to the fact that he almost crushed Lois and starts demanding that she bring him a Pop-Tart in bed. Sleepy Peter wants a snack.
Lois, can I have a Pop-Tart in bed, please? Lois, you in the bathroom?
Lois is rushed to the hospital, where the doctor informs her that she has 3 crushed ribs and internal bleeding, a result of a warm night cuddle.
Well, Mrs. Griffin, you have 3 crushed ribs, but I was able to stop the internal bleeding.
Peter feels terrible, but Lois is fed up with his sleep habits. Who wouldn't be? She tells him that he's practically smothering her every night, and that she's sick of being kept awake by his giant plume. Giant plume? What's next, a powdered wig?
Doctor, this has happened 7 times in the last month. Peter rolls over in his sleep and almost kills me.
I see. Well, that sucks.
Look, I don't do it on purpose.
The doctor tells Lois that her spine is disfigured. She then decides to separate their beds. Finally, some space. Peter is devastated, but Lois is adamant that she needs some space. Can't blame her for wanting some breathing room.
Lois, why do we have Lucy and Ricky beds?
Dr. Hartman called about my x-rays. He said my spine is now disfigured.
I can't sleep like this, Lois. I need someone to cuddle with. Believe it or not, men like to cuddle.
Peter's devastated by the abandonment and tries to cuddle with Quagmire instead. Quagmire, a perfect cuddle buddy.
Now just wrap yourself around me.
But eventually, Lois comes crawling back, apologizing for kicking Peter out of bed. Romance is alive and well in Quahog. In this episode, the Griffins learn that Family Feud is coming to Quahog.
We interrupt this program to bring you exciting news. Family Feud will be coming to Quahog. Auditions are being held tomorrow at the Civic Center.
Quahog's finest hour, a cheesy game show. Peter promises his family that if they win the $5,000 prize, he'll make them a cave in front of the house. Oh, nice. The ultimate symbol of love and devotion. How beautiful. At the audition, things quickly spiral out of control. They do very well at first, but when it looks like they're losing the feud, Peter starts fighting with the moderator, who reveals that he's a military veteran. Moderator by day, ninja by night.
Get your hands off me. I served in the fictitious military.
The moderator punches Peter, giving him instant amnesia. I can only imagine how gentle that punch must have been. Peter wakes up with no memory of who Lois is, who his family members are, or even where he lives. Blank slate, new beginnings, or not.
Peter! Oh my god, are you alright?
Who are you?
I'm Lois.
Who the hell am I?
The doctor tells Lois that Peter's amnesia might be permanent. Well, just peachy.
Mrs. Griffin, I'm afraid your husband has amnesia.
Oh my god, is it permanent?
There's no telling for sure. His memory could return in days, weeks, years, or never.
Lois tries to reintroduce Peter to his family, but he is clueless. Oh, that gentle punch.
Peter, I want you to meet your family.
Never seen you before in my life. Sorry, I just don't remember anything.
Brian suggests using old videotapes to jog Peter's memory, but even that doesn't work. Maybe a sledgehammer would do the trick. Possibly.
All right, Peter, we're going to try to jog your memory with some old videotapes of the family.
We're gonna have to reteach your father everything he's forgotten.
He doesn't even remember his friends. Amnesia is just what you need to survive, because...
So you guys are my best friends, and this is where we hang out?
Peter even tries to hit on another woman and make love to her. Apparently, he doesn't even remember getting married to anyone.
I'm sorry, but I don't remember marrying anybody. Why the hell would I commit to having sex with one person for the rest of my life?
He makes his family move out of the house, forcing them to rent a tiny apartment. Meg's thrilled, no doubt.
Mom, I don't want to live in a tiny, gross apartment.
Your father doesn't remember his life, and he doesn't want us to be a part of it. So we've just gotta move on.
Just as Lois is about to give up hope, Quagmire invites her out for dinner. Quagmire, to the rescue. But just as things are about to get steamy, Peter walks in, having miraculously regained his memory. Peter apologizes for his mischief, and they come back together.
I got my memory back, and I love you, Lois. I want you and the kids back. I want our old life back.
And so, another episode of Peter Griffin's worst moments comes to a close. Peter's unique blend of chaos and charm has left us in stitches once again. As we call it a day with this video, we're left wondering, what's next for Peter and his lovable dysfunctional family? Will they ever find a moment's peace? Or will Peter's hijinks continue to wreak havoc on Quahog? One thing's for sure, with Peter Griffin around, life is never dull.